The Shack of Shadows. Ethan Ryder had spent months preparing for the biggest surf competition of his life. With the event only hours away, he was up early, the morning sun casting a warm glow over the beach. His wetsuit clung to his athletic frame as he performed his usual stretches, mentally visualizing the perfect wave. This was his chance to prove himself, to show everyone that he was the best surfer on the coast. As he headed back to his bungalow to grab his board, he felt a prickle of unease. The beach was deserted, eerily quiet. Before he could react, rough hands grabbed him from behind. His surfboard clattered to the ground as he was overpowered by a group of men. They were the rival surfers from the North Shore, known for their underhanded tactics and ruthless competition. "Got him!" one of them hissed. They bound his hands and feet with coarse ropes, their faces twisted with malicious glee. Ethan struggled, but their grip was unyielding. They dragged him toward an old shack hidden among the dunes, a relic from a bygone era. The door creaked ominously as they shoved him inside, the scent of salt and decay filling his nostrils. Inside, the shack was dimly lit, the only illumination coming from a few scattered rays of sunlight filtering through the cracks in the walls. The men tied Ethan to a rickety wooden chair, securing the ropes with brutal efficiency. One of them pulled out a dirty sock, cramming it into his mouth, the rancid taste making him gag. A strip of duct tape followed, sealing his protests. "Enjoy your stay, champ," one of them sneered, his voice dripping with sarcasm. With that, they left, slamming the door behind them. Ethan was alone, the only sounds his muffled grunts and the distant crash of waves he should have been riding. "Oomph!" Ethan shouted into his thick gag. Panic surged through him. He thrashed against the ropes, the chair creaking under his weight, but the bindings held firm. He could feel the coarse fibers cutting into his skin, each movement sending jolts of pain through his body. The taste of the sock was unbearable, making him gag and retch, but he forced himself to stay calm. He needed to think. "Oomph, oomph, He grunted more into the disgusting gag. His eyes scanned the dimly lit room, searching for anything that could help him. The shack was filled with old discarded items, a broken fishing net, a rusty anchor, a pile of rotting wood. His gaze settled on a sharp piece of metal jutting out from the debris. If he could just reach it. He grunted loudly. Ethan began to rock the chair, inching closer to the metal shard. It was slow, painstaking work, his muscles straining with the effort. Sweat trickled down his brow, mingling with the saltwater residue on his skin. He could hear the distant sounds of the competition starting, the crowd cheering, the announcer's voice booming over the speakers. He had to hurry. After what felt like an eternity, he managed to position the ropes against the sharp edge. He began to saw back and forth, the metal biting into the fibers. His wrists were raw, sweat beads trickling down his hands. But he didn't stop. He couldn't stop. The thought of missing the competition, of letting his rivals win, fueled his determination. "Oomph!" He mumbled into his gag in frustration. With a final, desperate jerk, the rope snapped. He quickly pulled the sock from his mouth, gasping for fresh air, and tore off the tape. His mouth felt raw, and the taste lingered, but he was free. Stumbling to his feet, he made his way to the door, his legs shaky but his mind focused. "I can make it, there's still time," Ethan told himself in a panic. The shack's door gave way under his weight, and he burst into the sunlight, blinking against the sudden brightness. He could hear the announcer's voice in the distance, the competition already underway. Summoning every ounce of strength, Ethan ran toward the beach, the sound of waves growing louder with every step. He grabbed his spare surfboard from the back of his truck, adrenaline surging through his veins. There was still time. He sprinted toward the water, the familiar feel of the board under his arm giving him renewed energy. He paddled out, his muscles protesting but his mind focused. As he reached the lineup, the other surfers looked at him in surprise. But there was no time for explanations. The perfect wave was forming, and Ethan was in position. With a burst of speed, he caught the wave, his body moving instinctively, every maneuver precise and powerful. The crowd roared as he executed a flawless aerial, landing smoothly and riding the wave all the way to the shore. He had done it. He had overcome the odds, the betrayal, and the physical pain. As he stepped off his board, the judges' scores came in. It was a perfect 10. Ethan Ryder, against all odds, was the champion. He stood on the winner's podium, the trophy in his hands, knowing that he had proven his worth not just to the crowd, but to himself. The rival gang had failed to break him, and now they would have to watch as he basked in his well-deserved victory. The end.